Have you noticed that much of what we see in the sales world today is antisocial? Pitch slaps, false compliments, inauthenticity, and sometimes outright disinformation? Welcome to the All Selling is Social podcast, where we look at ways that we can be social in our selling efforts, no matter how we're reaching out. Each week, we talk to top sales leaders and trainers to learn what's working for them, how we can learn to talk with people, not talk at them. Join your host, Bill McCormick, and let's develop a sales game that feels as good as it works. Let's get social.
Hey everyone, welcome to this month's edition of All Selling is Social. I'm your host, Bill McCormick, and today you get to hear from me. But before I get into what we're going to talk about this week, I want to tell you about what's coming next month in June. I'm going to be talking to my good friend, Carson Heddy. Carson is really the brains behind all the social selling effort done at Microsoft. And he's also the author of 2 books, Salesman on Fire, and then his newest one, The Show Must Go On. And so really looking forward to talking to Carson next month. But for this month, for May, what we're going to be doing is talking about Peter Drucker's quote, "What gets measured gets improved." And so we're going to talk about what do we want to improve with our LinkedIn activity? And so consequently, what are we measuring? And I just wrote an article about this last week, and it got really good responses. A lot of folks reached out to me. So I thought, you know what, let's talk about a few of these metrics, bring up my LinkedIn profile to tell you a little bit about where to find this and what are some of the things you should be doing and looking at when you're measuring content. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, you certainly can take some notes, but make sure you shoot over to YouTube and check this out where you can look at the screen share and see the different areas that I'm looking at if you need to do that. So let's jump over to LinkedIn and let's talk about the few areas. So some of the things that I talked about in the article were, connection requests that you're sending out that are initiated by you. What are your metrics there? Incoming connection requests. People are connecting with you. How are you measuring that? What are you looking at? We talked about content. I'm not going to get into that in this time, but one of the things I didn't write about was profile views. And the reason that I didn't write about that was because most people only get the last five profile views. So if you're using LinkedIn Basic, right? So you're not paying for any level of LinkedIn Premium, then you only see the last 5 people. And if those 5 people were in the last 10 minutes, you don't see anything beyond that. Where those of us who pay a premium subscription for LinkedIn, whether it's career, business premium, a level of sales navigator, recruiter, or one of those, you get a full 1 year's worth of views. Not only that, you get some other characteristics that you can look at and you can search. So we'll take a look at that. In fact, we're going to start there because I didn't write about it. And this is an important metric, and make no mistake about it. So let's jump over to LinkedIn. We'll take a look at that. And then we'll talk about, your connection requests, the ones you're sending out, the ones you're getting in. We'll talk about those metrics. So we'll see you over on LinkedIn. All right, we're over here on LinkedIn. We're on the home screen. And so we're going to talk about profile views. And right here from your home screen, right down over here, let me use my handy dandy annotator. Right here, you can see profile views. And so once you click on it, and if you're not watching this, but you're listening, over on the left-hand side, you'll see your badge basically. And then right underneath that, the first thing you see is profile views. Then you see post impressions. So when we click on profile views, now, like I said, if you don't have LinkedIn Premium, you have LinkedIn Free, you have to scroll all the way to the bottom of this page in order to see the last 5 people that viewed your profile. But if you notice with mine, because I have Premium, I have these things. I have a time frame, right? It goes from the past 14 days all the way to the past 365 days. I've got this neat little chart that shows how many profile views I'm getting. And then I have some filters of interesting views. I don't find any of these very interesting. Can help me get a job. I'm not looking for a job. Works at a company that I follow. That could be interesting, but I know how to search for people in companies that I want to connect with. So that's not, influencer on LinkedIn by whose definition, right? That doesn't mean anything to me. Senior leader with my job function, I'm typically not connecting or looking to, really engage that much with people who are in the same job function as I am. And then senior leader in my industry, again, doesn't really matter that much. I think I'm coaching the coaching industry and consulting industry. Again, none of this is very interesting to me, but for you it may be. And so you have those to look at. And then company. So if you're wondering if someone from a certain company has viewed your profile, you can definitely look at that. And then if we click on the all filters over here on the right hand side, you can see we have date range, interesting views, company, industry. So if you're looking, hey, who in the IT services and consulting industry viewed my profile or a certain location also, we can click results and we get to see that, and we get to see these people, right? And so if you have no filters selected at all, it's just going to show you the profile views from the most recent, right? And then, or by the most relevant, again, who's deciding whether it's relevant or not? I always look at it by the most recent. So there's a couple of different things that you can do here and this is what I do. When I'm looking at profile views, I'm looking at, are we connected yet? And if we're not, is it somebody that I think I may want to connect with? Or am I connected with them and they viewed my profile? And this gives me an opportunity to engage with them. So really quickly, I'm just going to kind of go through and look down. So here's one for an example that I want to point out. Dan Gilroy. So Dan is the president of Performance Food Service Group. We're already connected because we reached out to each other. Okay. I was on a podcast and him and I connected because of that podcast. Let's say we hadn't done that. If I were to look at Dan's profile, Dan is somebody I definitely want to be connected with. I know he works very closely with a good friend of mine. So this would be an opportunity where I would reach out to Dan and say, hey, Dan, I noticed you viewed my profile. I took a look at yours and I think it makes a lot of sense for us to connect. I probably would reach out to my friend that's connected to him too and ask about making an introduction. That's another way to go about it. But this, we're strictly talking about profile views. So this is a way that I would do it. Hey, I noticed you viewed my profile. I had a chance to look at yours and I think it makes sense for us to connect. Looking forward to connecting with you here on LinkedIn Best Bill. Right? That's it. If, let's say, I'm connected like Monica, we're connected, right? And the way you know you're connected is because it says message as opposed to follow. This person here has a connection request out to me, so it says accept. But let's say with Monica, we're already connected. Let's say we haven't talked for a while. I'd reach out and say, hey, Monica, I noticed you viewed my profile. Just curious if you were, looking for anything in particular. Is there anything in particular I can help you with? I've gotten calls from this, right? They say, oh, yeah, I was wondering about this. Great. Would you like to schedule a call? I'd be happy to help you with that, right? You're looking for conversations here, and profile views gives you a great opportunity to do that. But again, if you're using the free version of LinkedIn, you're only seeing the last 5, and that can be very limiting. So if you're curious about LinkedIn Premium, I would go Google that. I think Career is like $39, $40 a month. Then the next one up is Business Premium. You get a lot more features for Business Premium than you do with just Career. And if you go look back in my content, there's some information about that there. So that's profile views. The next thing I want to talk to you about in terms of metrics is your connection requests, both those you're sending and those you're getting in. And remember, we're talking about measuring for improvement. So the first question I want to start with is, why do you want to connect with people? What's your goal behind that? And because, right, if you don't know what you want to do with those, then how can we know if we're going to improve it or not, right? So for me, I want to connect with people that I can help, that I have opportunity to help, that I can give them insight on LinkedIn and look for an opportunity for us to work together. So keep that in mind. Figure out, why am I connecting with people? And so what you're going to do is you're going to go up to the My Network page, right? The button right up there, and you're going to click on that. And the first thing we're going to talk about are connection requests that you're sending out. So we're going to go over here to the show all number, or there's no number. It's just a show all. It's a clickable link. You click on that. So notice up here, a lot of folks don't realize that you can filter these out between received and sent. So in other words, these are the connection requests I'm receiving in, but also I can look at the ones I've sent. So the first thing I want you to do as you're looking at metrics is go look how many outstanding connection requests do you have. I have 45, which actually isn't that bad. For a while there, it was like at 100 because I hadn't been paying attention to this. It's important that you pay attention to this because this factors in to how active you are on LinkedIn in LinkedIn's eyes. And so you've probably heard that there's a connection limit of 100 connection requests a week. That's kind of anecdotally true, but it's actually a formula of how many connection requests you're sending out, how many connection requests you have that haven't been accepted yet, right? So these outstanding connection requests, as well as when somebody ignores your connection request, right? They reject a connection request from you. There's a little button that comes up that says, I don't know this person. And if too many people click that, that factors in also. So what I tell my clients is try to keep this under 10, right? Do as I say, not as I do. I have to look through these. There's 45 outstanding. I just have to own up and do it, right? So take a look at this and see, okay, who can I withdraw? And just keep in mind that when you withdraw, and let's all look back, I'll go back all the way to 6 months and see, right? Because I looked at earlier today and I saw I was 6 months. So Daryl, so I know Daryl. I just met him, saw him at a trade show a couple of weeks ago, and we were connecting on LinkedIn because he was thinking about using it more. Then I talked to him at the trade show and said, look, I don't need another thing to do. So I'm going to withdraw from Daryl. Watch what happens. If you withdraw now, you won't be able to resend this person for up to 3 weeks, right? So in other words, I can't send another connection request for 3 weeks, right? So I'm going to withdraw that. And just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to go back and look at his, all right, it still says pending. It may take a little while for LinkedIn to catch up. Yeah. So what'll happen is if I go, if you withdraw now, so I'm going to withdraw again. Now, if I click connect, it says invitation not sent. Daryl, you can resend. It's telling me again with an error message, I can't send this for another 3 weeks, right? So that's what it looks like. So make sure when we're talking about connection requests you're sending, take a look at the connection requests that you've sent out in the last X amount of time, right? Keep that under 10. That's my recommendation, right? So now let's talk about the connection requests that you're making that you're getting acceptance of, right? So go to your connections. So you go to my network, and over here on the left under manage my network, it has connections. Just click on that. And what I do periodically is I just look at like the last 10 that have come in. Now, and this is kind of where we transition into also connection requests that you're receiving, because this is a combination, right? Monica sent me a connection request I accepted, but Dan, I sent him one and he accepted. So what I want to do is I want to make sure I'm having conversations with these people, because that's what I want to measure. I want to measure the connection request, not only that I made, but then have I taken it to the next step and started a conversation with this person, right? So make sure you're looking at your connection requests, both the ones you're receiving and the ones you're sending out, and seeing, okay, are my connection requests being accepted? And if they're not, then okay, I have to look at what I'm doing and maybe you're just not connecting with people who are active on LinkedIn, or maybe they're seeing you as someone who wants to sell them and they're just kind of putting some walls up and say, I'm not sure I want to connect with this person, right? Again, we've got to measure this to see whether or not we need to make any changes, right? So keep in mind that your goal here, whatever it is, my goal is to have conversations. My goal is to connect with people, to find out more about them, and move it to a Zoom meeting, a phone call, an in-person meeting where they can find out more about me, I can find out more about them, and we see if we have some synergy there. I know that's kind of a buzzword now, right? But also, are we aligned, business-wise? And is there an opportunity for us to kind of go to the next level? So make sure you're looking at those things. Look at who's viewed your profile. Then look at your outstanding connection requests. What ones can you withdraw? And then look at your incoming, the connections that you're accepting or that they've accepted your connection request. See, am I going to the next step? And if I'm not, what do I need to do that? Another thing you can do that you may not be aware of is you can go and you can download your first degree connections. And so quickly, I'll show you where you find that. And that way you can look at maybe rather than doing it here, you can put it onto a spreadsheet and you can take a look and look at the last 10 or 15 or 25 connections that you've added to your network and decide, okay, and categorize them. Is this a customer of mine, right? Am I doing business with them? Is it a prospect? Is it somebody who I may want to do business with? Is it a networking partner, somebody who can refer me business? Is it a vendor that I work with regularly? Or is it some other category, a family member, just a social acquaintance, right? So you can categorize them and start saying, okay, this is a prospect. Have I gotten it to the next step? Have I taken another step with them? It's a customer. When's the last time I've had a conversation with them? When's the last time that we've had a real substantive conversation where I've asked them, how I'm doing? And are they happy and pleased? What's the value that I brought to them and when we've been doing business together? That's important information that I want to track. Hopefully you want to track it too. So the way you do that is it starts over here, your settings and privacy, right? So you go to the me icon, to the drop down, then settings and privacy. And then over on the left, you're going to go to the fourth one down, data privacy, and click on data privacy, and then get copy of your data. It's the second subcategory down. And so if you want something, if you notice it says if you want something in particular, connections used to be here. They've removed it. You actually have to download your larger data archive. And so what happens with this is when you request it, they do half of it in about 10 to 15 minutes. Then the rest of it comes the next day. Fortunately, your connections are in that first grouping. So when you click download, you'll click request archive. And again, like I said, it takes about 15 minutes. You'll get an email from LinkedIn saying that the first half of your archive is ready and you can bring it in here and you take a look at that. If you go back in my on my LinkedIn page, I have a whole article about this and with a video that's there that you can follow to see this and see what it looks like to download it, what it looks like to convert it to an Excel spreadsheet, and how to do that. So this is an important thing because remember, we're measuring, right? That's what we want to make sure we're doing. We want to measure our activity and decide, like, what is it that I want to measure when it comes to LinkedIn and social selling? Because if we're not measuring the things we're doing on LinkedIn, the chances are we're just randomly scrolling on LinkedIn and hoping that something pops out and something happens. I can tell you that hardly ever happens, right? So go back in my newsletters. You can check out what I wrote about this because I also talked about looking at the metrics for your content and how that might help you, but I wanted to keep this kind of short. So make sure you're taking a look at who's viewed your profile, connection requests, incoming and outgoing, and then make sure you go down and download your first degree connections, go back through and see, okay, am I completing the tasks and the goals that I want to? Am I measuring it? Do I have the numbers and the analytics that I need to know of what I want to measure to determine, is this working for me? And as always, if you're interested in diving in deeper with this and you want some free insights, you can go into the show notes here. There's a link to my calendar, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to schedule a 30-minute call. We jump on and you share your screen and I'll take you through and answer your questions and see how I may be able to assist you using and leveraging LinkedIn to have more sales conversations. So thanks again for listening and watching, and I can't wait to talk to Carson next month, so make sure you're subscribed for that. And I would appreciate it if you click the like below and also click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel so you can hear everything about how all selling is social. And we'll see you next month right here. And as you're out and about this week, don't forget to be social.